All right, and welcome to PlanetGenX, our maiden voyage. How you doing, B?
What's up? I'm doing well. How are you?
A little frazzled. This is our first episode, and kind of throwing it together. I mean, we're not throwing it together. God, we worked on this forever, but yeah, it's going to be
shoestring and spit.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of throwing everything together and hope it sticks. Oh God, there you go, blurring again. These blurry backgrounds are for shit. And of course, my lighting's not good. It's not right, but that's okay because y'all just came here
on mine.
Hopefully, just to listen to us talk anyway, right? Because we don't look that good anyhow. So, alrighty. So basically, PlanetGenX. We're a couple old GenXers, Brian and I. Actually, we're only like 2 weeks apart. Both born in '77.
Correct.
Yep. So 46. He's almost 46, and pretty much you don't hear from Gen Xers much, do you, Brian? We kind of stay low on the radar.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how we survived, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I kind of
Under
feel
the
like
radar was kind of our MO.
Yeah, but when the world's getting so crazy and whatnot, and we kind of look around and go, well, you got the little kids calling boomer. They even throw us in the boomer category too, which I can't stand. We get instantly called boomers, but we are not. We are our own entity. And so we look at them and they go, "What the fuck are y'all doing?" And we look down at all those below us and go, "What the fuck are y'all doing?" Meanwhile, we're all just thinking we never did wrong. Well, we did. We had plenty of wrong, but
there was a lot of wrong going on around us.
Yeah, right. So we got to see, like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this when we grow up. And
right.
And
yet,
of course,
here we are.
Yeah, but we also know about history, too, which gives us a huge advantage. Because, you look back at history, you know what you did wrong, so you know what you can do right if you're smart. And it's turning out that we're just going to do the same stupid shit again, it looks like.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always been of the opinion that history's got a bias.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, it does. It goes to the victors, right?
Yeah.
So basically, we're just a couple of guys who love nerd culture, geek culture. We love TV, movies,
comic books, games.
Yep. That's
TV
it.
shows, movies.
You name it.
High fantasy, sci-fi, all that stuff.
D&D.
Everything in between.
Yeah. We've all played tabletop games. Hell, that was pretty much that and the most basic of video games back in our youth.
Well, there were a lot of tabletop. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about D&D here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But
there's some news.
In our generation, I know it was different everywhere. We didn't have a lot of the Warhammer guys.
Nope.
Around, but they were around.
They were.
Right.
But, yeah, and it's because it's British, for one thing. And back in our day, getting anything from England was slow and expensive. Very expensive. It was like twice as much.
Yeah.
And that made a big difference.
When we were coming up in that time, it was like, all I remember are D&D groups, GURPS groups, Vampire the Masquerade players.
Yep.
And every now and again, you find these weird people who would be like, "Hey, you want to play some Cthulhu?"
Yeah, and I did that one time at a party.
Yeah.
It was just the one time. I've never played it again. And
It's
that's how it happened.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, they just gave me an NPC and said, "Here, you can play this."
Yeah.
And that's great, man. It was pretty
cool. And now
cool.
you have D&D trying to we'll talk about that more later, so go ahead.
That was actually, I can reference that as the first night I saw Clockwork Orange, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. That was a wild night.
Oh, dude, I know a guy who's like, I love that book, and he's kind of the guy that is gets the wrong idea of Tyler Durden being the hero or something, you know?
Well, the weird thing is, for years he put it into my head, because he they were at the Corova Milk Bar, and he was kind of explaining to me about the hallucinogenics and stuff, and then he was trying to explain to me what he thought, or what, I guess his circle of friends thought around him, because there was no internet.
Right.
You know, to hear this from. So he was like, you know, what they thought the reference of A Clockwork Orange was, you know, what it meant. And, you know, he told me, he said, you know, well, it means that something's just as useless as a Clockwork Orange. And I'm like, okay. So, I mean, you know, I kept that with me for years, but nowadays we have the internet and I can look it up. I have, and that's not it. I can't remember what it is right offhand, but that wasn't it.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, Cthulhu.
Well, I mean, that was also another thing of that point in time that we lived in. We kind of straddled the pre-digital and the digital age, right?
Yep.
So, you know, we didn't have phones on us when we were kids.
Not right off.
We were gone until we came back.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't get my first cell phone until I was working at 18 years old.
Right.
I was just out of high school. So
we're kind of in that weird space where we remember what it was like before, but we can embrace new technology. And maybe that's why it pisses you off of being labeled a boomer, right? Because they are just, not all of them, but generally not as tech savvy.
Technophobes, perhaps. I don't know if it's that so much as, and this maybe as I get older. I reminisce a lot about the 80s, especially. But
80s were unique.
They were, and I used to kind of be down on the 80s for the longest time. But as I've grown older, I've grown more fond of them. There were some great times there, and I guess that's where I kind of maybe identify with a boomer more than anything is. We went outside to play. We still did that. You know, we made our fun outside most of the time. Now, don't get me wrong. I watched a shit ton of TV, and that was on 4 channels. Yeah. You know, 4 channels till 21 came along in '83. Which for anybody not around here doesn't know what the hell 21 is, but that was our big dude when they came. It was the best. You had the best TV on 21. It was, you couldn't beat that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was all different than those other channels.
Be it everybody has this channel. You know, if they grew up back in the day, they had one of these channels. Right. You know, 21, 48, 68. You guys had one in your city somewhere, and they showed Kung Fu Theater on Sundays. You got to see fucking shoot. I hope I didn't break my 5-minute rule in cussing. Have we gone 5 minutes yet? You had Abbott and Costello, the Three Stooges, Mom, Pa Kettle, Blondie, all the great black and white classics. You know, Kung Fu Theater, like I said, and man, that was just your Sunday. Godzilla, King Kong, all the great Universal horror movies were always shown on these. Batman, the TV show, anything that you could name cult probably came on one of these TV stations back in the day.
Laverne and Shirley, Three's Company, all kinds of shit.
Yeah, and for most people, they think, well, no, that came on other channels. Yeah, no, this is syndication, kids.
There you go, syndication.
Like we all grew up on the original Star Trek, but didn't get to see the original Star Trek when it aired. But I guarantee, look, it was in my house every single afternoon, the original series. And of course, we had VHS after that. Yeah. Changed everything. That did change everything, especially for the porn industry.
Right.
Yeah. Thank God for both.
I'll go dig it in your dad's closet.
No doubt. Yeah. Which I've done. And found the Playboys. Never found a porn. It was my friend, I'm not going to say his full name, but Jeff. That little kid. His mom was a wild one.
All right.
Yeah, she was into some really wild shit. Schooled me early.
Cool. Well, that's basically what the channel's about.
Yeah.
We do have some topics to get to today.
Right, I'm all over the road. Which is one of the topics.
Yeah, it's fine. Do you want to go ahead and jump to that point, or do you want to go in a certain order?
It doesn't matter, but I mean, that is a good segue and one of the things we wanted to talk about.
Let's get organic.
Yeah, no doubt. ADHD. Yeah. The main thing we want, God damn, this blur filter's pissing me off, bro. The main thing we wanted was like ADHD in gaming. Like,
Right.
it's one thing, and we'll talk about living with it in life in general. But, oh yeah, I meant to bring up and do like a little definition of what that was. I failed that. You have a good definition for it?
Well, I mean, we could get like the Webster's definition or whatever, but for me, it's difficulty staying with one thing. It's not even difficulty concentrating, although it does develop in that route, and it has for me over time.
God damn it.
But it's really just not something can't really hold your interest. It's like there's a dopamine issue that you're not getting. It's like, okay, I've done this enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know for me, I've got the webpage kind of up here, like CDC's definition.
Right.
I'll move that to the side so you can kind of half-ass see me. I'll just say ADHD is one of the most common neurodevelopmental disorders of childhood. It is usually first diagnosed in childhood and often lasts into adulthood. Children with ADHD may have trouble paying attention, controlling impulse behaviors, may act without thinking about what the result will be, or be overly active. Let's see, it just says signs and symptoms. It is normal for children to have trouble focusing and behaving at one time or another. However, children with ADHD do not grow out of these behaviors. The symptoms continue, can be severe, and can cause difficulty at school, at home, or with friends. Jeez, I'm like a poster child. So, like, they just have some bullet points here. A child with the ADHD might daydream a lot, forget or lose things a lot, squirm or fidget, talk too much, make careless mistakes or take unnecessary risks, have a hard time resisting temptation, have trouble taking turns, or have difficulty getting along with others. Boy, oh boy. If that just doesn't...
Ticks a lot of my boxes.
Yeah. Want to talk about fidgeting? I don't know if this will show up on camera.
I can't sit still.
This is my, what I call my douche whistle. It's a vape pen. And all day long, it's like my fidget spinner. I hold it in his hand, and when I get really fidgety, I sit here and spin it like this. It's hard to see on camera because this damn blur thing. But that's just one of the many things. But I mean, and I was late diagnosed. I think you told me that you're actually undiagnosed.
I'm still undiagnosed, but it's pretty obvious to anybody that knows.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's hugely. Unfortunately, it seems to be common for our generation. But and of course, that's when it was kind of really brought to the forefront. It was called ADD back when it first was addressed, and then they added the hyperactive part of it, which I've never been one to be accused of being hyperactive, but in my old age, I can see I can be a pretty hyper guy if I want to be, but that's not even what it really means anyway. But
I was super hyper as a kid, man.
Yeah, but I've gone my whole life unmedicated for that, specifically with the drugs that I actually I have to qualify it. Specifically, drugs that
non-prescriptive.
Right. They were meant for that. Yes, I've had my drug problems in life, and I believe that to be a direct result of that too. My want to be able to focus on something. It takes all of my energy and mental brain power to focus on something, as you can well attest, I'm sure.
Yeah, like and it causes a problem with burnout sometimes too for us, because you spend all this time being intense about something, but it's a marathon, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to figure out how to work with it, how to work against it, and just accept what you get.
Yeah. I mean, I have to explain to my wife. She probably thinks I'm crazy. My wife knows I'm crazy. She probably thinks I'm crazier with some of the shit, because I actually try and lay it out for her, explain it to her. And, I give my guitar is sitting right over here next to me, and I haven't touched it since I think back in April. And all the time I sit there and look at it, and I urge to play it. Urge! But something inside my head will not let me pick up that guitar. I don't care how bad I want to play it. It will not let me pick up that guitar. And then one day I'm going to walk, God, this blur filter. One day I'm going to walk in here and I'm just going to grab that guitar and I'm going to play it for months and months and months on end. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, if I can maintain it and really keep my focus on it, I can keep that going for a while. But I will get bored with it if I'm not careful.
That's something that really works for people like us is actually discipline and fundamentals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, once you get those down and they're with you, you do still have to practice fundamentals in anything that you're doing.
Absolutely.
So as long as we can remind ourselves of that and we do the training we need to, for me anyway, it's not as bad. It doesn't seem to fall off as much. It's not like, I'm done. It's like, I know how to do some of this, right?
Yeah. For me, I took something I wanted to teach myself a language, so I found Duolingo, and I said, okay, I'm going to teach myself German, and I'm going to train every single day. This is going to be my first test of if I can focus on something. How many things can I focus on? But if I focus on one thing, can I do other things with it, but never let this one down? And so far, I'm like at 360. Well, no, I'm sorry. I passed 666 not too long ago. So I'm somewhere in the 670 range, 675, somewhere in there.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. I haven't missed a day.
Yeah.
In 2 years ago, or about to be 2 years, I think.
We kind of skipped over something I wanted to talk about, and I know you wanted to talk about it too. But I honestly believe that a big part of why so much of our generation are ADHD has to do with being latchkey kids.
Yes.
In the morning you wake up, maybe you'll see one or two of your parents, supposing they were still married, because also our generation, marriage rates, or divorce rates were up. So,
yeah, we're the divorce generation, no doubt.
Right.
And he knows he says maybe see one or two of your parents. That's the key. Yeah.
And then you're off to school. You go to school all day. You come home. Nobody's home.
Yep.
Nobody gets home until
6-ish.
however long it takes them to get back home from work. Where they usually get off at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
So you got all this time just doing whatever, and a
lot of time to get into some shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, media took advantage of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones that started pitching ideas to us in our entertainment.
Yeah.
And while ad has always been there, it took on a new shape.
Yeah, no doubt.
But that helped our ADD because everything was flash now, here, happy, sad.
Yeah.
Extremes.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, the 80s was more a move, and of course it really started in the 70s, and it just really blossomed in the 80s and 90s, and now we're just living a huge wave of all that. The have it now generation. You gotta have, get it right now. That's when, obviously fast food and everything was just how fast can we get it, how small can we make it type generation. How portable can we make it? Everybody was on the go, go, go. That's what the 80s was about, man. On the go, 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 jazzercise, aerobics, Everybody was moving. Yeah, everybody was moving in the 80s, man. You know what I'm saying? And he said it, the Walkman. That motherfucking Walkman was moving. It was walking. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think a lot of us shared similar experiences, if not the same. And I was an exception. My parents were divorced, and I was like, I kind of expected most of the people I met of my age for their parents to be divorced because so many people my age.
Absolutely.
And whatever, if like somebody's a bad parent or things aren't working or whatever, I'm just saying there wasn't really a safety net when the people who were supposed to be taking care of you weren't ever there.
No, there wasn't. You were there. You were there to take care of yourself. I don't know exactly your whole story at your early days. Brian and I, just real quick, have known each other since about sophomore years in high school, maybe
Somewhere
freshman. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was, let's see, my mom divorced. I was like 5 or 6, and she had to work, man. She didn't have no choice. She had to go to work, and I was at school. And then when school was out, I had to fend for myself for about 3 or 4 hours, and that meant cooking for myself. Just whatever had to be done that maybe a mother or father would do, we had to do. I say, I'm going to say we because a lot more than just me, but I became a good cook very quick, or at least good enough for myself anyway. Now I can't stand to cook because of it. It really is because of that. I've cooked my whole life from the time I was a child, so I really can't stand it. I prefer to go out. But yeah, that's just kind of the different things, and you can get into some trouble. But at the same time, you just, I don't know what it is. I always got floored as I got older and started dating women that had kids and trying to find babysitters for a kid who's like 7 or 8 years old. And I'm like, just let them stay by themselves. They're like, what, are you fucking crazy? I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
People don't do that.
Oh, man. They're so scared of DHR and everything now. That it's such a pussification of everything.
Yeah.
God, that's got to be one reason those younger generations are like they are. It's got to be one reason. Too mollycoddled.
I don't know. I think we have a different experience on it. But yeah, who determines what normal is, right? Society as a whole, the people you hang out with, stuff like that.
Yeah, apparently it's a small minority of people living in California right now.
Well, normal for us was, if we were to write it all out in literal terms, people would be horrified, right?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
I nearly set my house on fire multiple times.
Dude, I literally did set the woods on fire when I was a kid because I was so scared. And, the fire department came, put it out, and walked away. I thought I was going to be in so much trouble. They didn't ask questions, nothing. They just put it out and walked away. I was so, freaked out. But that's the kind of thing that would happen. But nobody got hurt. I went and did exactly what I was supposed to do. I went to an adult. I got them to call the fire department.
Right.
Yeah, I shouldn't have been playing with fireworks in the woods. But it was a learning experience because I learned how fast a fire ignites in very dry, conditions with pine straw around. I thought I would be able to put it out with my foot as a little kid might. And I learned real quick, no. Yeah. And I never did that shit again. In fact, I became quite a pyromaniac, and I'm very good at fires now. But legally, by the way, I've never said any illegal fire before the police start buzzing down my door. Oh, we got one. No.
Well, now we have videos of idiots on TikTok and YouTube and whatnot.
Oh, man.
That are the warning of that. So, kids see that. Maybe they know, hey, put the gas on the fire before you light it.
I think your argument would be sound, except we have all the videos of them eating Tide Pods and shit like that. So I don't know that they want to jack shit from their videos.
It's like the tribute, right?
Yeah.
One sacrifice to educate the whole.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it's not working as well for them. I don't know what it is. They have to kill way more, lose way more of their tribe before they go, you know what? Maybe this ain't such a good idea.
I don't know.
But isn't that supposed to be nature culling everything that shouldn't be around anyway? So
I don't believe in that necessarily. I think nature is just chaos, right?
Yeah.
And we've been fighting against chaos for the majority of the human experience, right?
Well, if we ended up getting into one of these subjects on there, like the Younger Dryas theory, that would be the whole thing about how nature's wiped us out. a couple of times over already.
Let's go ahead and dip a toe in.
I mean,
I've been checking out everything about the Kuiper belt and all those theories from what was it, Planet 9, Nemesis, all this other stuff, and back in the previous centuries, Vulcan, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these, well, I say mythological, but some of them aren't. People actually see these newer formations, and they still have this idea that every X amount of, what was it, 30,000 years roughly? The estimate of time where the disaster strikes.
Yeah, I don't remember. I was thinking about what you were saying about. Of course, I was just using as an example of how it might have cold us, but I was just thinking about how, that's like where Atlantis theories, the story of Atlantis comes from. That it was probably a civilization that was around during that time. Basically, for those that don't know, Younger Dryas. Well, it's actually Younger Dryas was a meteor that hit the Earth, and not the one that killed the dinosaurs. This was another one. Like it's not. If you look at other planets and see this happens all the time. We've been hit multiple times. There's craters all over our planet. There was one not that long ago in not Soviet Union, Russia. Well, where it was one in the Soviet Union, but Russia had one not that long ago.
Actually, they've had two.
Yeah, and they've just been fortunate that it's been in the middle of nowhere, but it could really fuck some shit up, like an atomic bomb if it's big enough. And anyway, I'm digressing a bit. No, I mean I've got to mention that theory is contested, right? The meteor theory. Oh yeah.
The only thing that they know for sure was that there was a redirection of the stream of the natural occurrence of the
ocean.
World.
Yeah.
Well, not just the ocean, but air too.
Well, it's like you have like what they predict now. That could be catastrophic for us. Is salt water and fresh water do not mix. It's like oil and water together. For those that don't know and need a quick crash course in climate. It's like having oil and water together. They will not mix, and it's just bad because our currents, the way they are right now and have been for a long time, and the climatologists will tell you that that's fluctuated over the years here and there. If that were to get really bad out of whack, and it's going to cause all our weather patterns to change, and so like we could have another ice age, which has been my belief. Everybody's been like, oh, it's going to get stupid hot. Well, I actually believe we're going to go through another ice age before we see anything. But that's going back to Younger Dryas again, which so they think that meteor hit and it started another ice age. Yeah, it caused, like Brian was saying, those currents and whatever got all out of whack, caused an ice age, and there was great technological civilizations. Now, don't think of technology as computers and stuff like we're doing right here. It's high technology, but a different kind of technology. It's not even technologies you can necessarily wrap your head around. But
you can generalize and say that any ancient peoples that had a thorough understanding of the stars, movements, principles based upon that.
I'm also getting into stuff that they think might have generated the pyramids, like sound manipulation. That's something we're just now, finding out more about. But this is something that they speculate they might have had stuff that we've forgotten, that time has forgotten because of this. So we're kind of going all over the road. Ancient. So they think it like before they thought the most ancient civilizations were back about 6,000 years or so, something like that. Egyptians, Mesopotamians, something like that.
I had that pulled up on a tab, but I don't have it right now.
And so now they're saying that it looks that it's more like 12,000 years ago, and Atlantis existed because was it Plato? Plato's ancestor is the one that told him. Was it Plato? Am I getting that wrong? Or is it another one of those Greek philosophers? I think it was Plato. that has relayed the story of Atlantis, and it was his ancestor that relayed it to him and got it from the Egyptians, and so there's way more ancient civilizations. That's the theory, and I probably could have said it a lot more coherently, but yeah.
Plato told the story of Atlantis around 300 BC.
There you go. Yeah, so his ancestor told it to him so he had visited Egypt, Plato, and his ancestor many times, and is where he got a lot of the information that we know of today, obviously, about those societies. Of course, there are hieroglyphics and stuff. But there's a lot of things they don't have any idea how they built the pyramids. They have a lot of speculation, but there's believed to be a lot of lost technology. Of course, then you have the people that believe it's all alien related, which, perfectly valid theory. I haven't seen anything that really couldn't say that's not valid as any of these others. I like them all, and I like to think that there's probably a good bit of truth in most of them. Certainly not all the truth, but I think these guys are probably on to something for the most part.
I don't know. As far as the pyramids are concerned, it is a great feat, but I do believe it's more reasonable that, they were obviously talented architects, right? They understood a lot of, their builders anyway, understood a lot of fundamentals about physics and whatnot.
Yeah. You're giving it right there, like how, why these people were living in where did this technology go? Like, how did they know? How did they have that understanding? Because why don't we have a better understanding of what they understood?
Again, it comes from the stars. It's an expansive process, and I don't know. I don't know like what the actual mechanism is that takes you from just studying stars and movements and thinking about the world outside of the world. But at some point, that light seems to turn a click in a civilization's culture to where they can do amazing things. Look at, I don't know how great of an example it is because of the fall, but yeah, cradle of civilization, right? There are a lot of stars with naming conventions from there, but in my opinion, religion came in and ruined it all.
Yeah, and there's a whole thing I've seen about that too that goes back through the Egyptians about how religion goes way deeper, like the Bible actually goes into Egyptians and beyond.
Right.
Like the religion has been passed down and passed down and passed down, and has just been altered slightly for the time. Whereas, so Jesus, Mary, and Joseph for us would have been Horus, blah 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 for the Egyptians, and before them it would have been so and so and so and so. But it's all
I actually heard
the same.
An interesting theory that all of these characters from every civilization were stars. They were stories based upon the movements of these. Like there was a constellation that was associated with David from the Bible.
Yeah.
All the stories were kind of drawn from these movements going on, stars or whatever importance that clerics, gave out about it.
Yeah.
I always thought that was an interesting theory. It's just a theory, though. But we do need to wrap around.
We do.
We kind of glossed over D&D.
Yeah, well, and I was just thinking,
talk about OGL.
You're on point with me because I was thinking we should have started with the news from the get go, but
right.
Well, baby steps, get on the bus. Baby steps, get on the bus.
Yeah. We can review this.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like, we'll be live streaming eventually, guys. It's gonna be building and building. We're trying to just get an idea of how we want to deliver it to y'all. Because we have so much to talk about that we love.
And we're ADD.
And we're ADD, so you see we're all over the road. But yeah, essentially we have an outline. We're starting out. We got some news to tell you. He mentioned D&D.
been all up in the news, not just in the past week, but for a little bit, over their open gaming license.
Yeah.
For those of you not familiar, they really kind of opened up their open gaming license to include a lot of source material at one point, and now they wanted to kind of go back and regulate it a little. And a lot of bad stuff happened, right?
Man, yeah, there was not happy people at all.
All over the place. The small communities, individuals, publishers, right?
Man, I'm telling you, you wouldn't know so many gaming nerds were on the planet until this happened.
Right? Everybody came out in droves and was like, this is wrong.
This is bullshit.
There was a memo released. I don't know how accurate it was that one employee stated that WotC, I think it was WotC, WotC's approach to customers where the customers were in the way of them making money, or that they were some kind of a barrier between them and money they deserved, something weird like that.
Yeah.
But WotC, of course, has been plagued by replacement, in my opinion. As long as I can remember, after TSR went down, everybody that helmed it had like a different vision, right?
Right.
And so now, do you know the guy?
Well, I just brought, while you were talking, I brought the story up. So this is from, let me give them credit so as not to get sued. This is Gizmodo,
right.
As everybody can see there. Dungeons & Dragons scraps plans to update its open game license. We'll just start at the beginning here. Wizards of the Coast, publisher of Dungeons & Dragons, announced today that it will no longer be pursuing deauthorization of the Open Gaming License 1.0A, abandoning plans previously stated in the draft OGL 1.2. This statement comes after relentless fan backlash against the decision to deauthorize what was revealed after IO9 reported on a leaked OGL 1.1. After 3 weeks of near constant pressure, it appears as if Wizards of the Coast, WotC, is fully paying attention to the fan base. Let me see if this is... I'll go ahead and finish this out. One more. The deauthorization of the OGL 1.0A was a huge sticking point for fans and third-party publishers who made a living using a license that was granted nearly 2 decades ago. Opinions varied on whether or not Wizards of the Coast could even legally deauthorize, with many people, including Ryan Dancy, that may be the name you were talking about, one of the original architects of the OGL 1.0A, arguing that it was never intended to be deauthorized and that the very act of doing so was not built into the legal wording of the license. So, Kyle Brink, was that the guy you were thinking of?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Kyle Brink, currently manning the helm.
Yeah, Dungeons & Dragons executive producer Kyle Brink said in a statement that these live survey results are clear. You want OGL 1.0A. You want irrevocability. You like Creative Commons. This sentiment was expressed so overwhelmingly in a playtest OpenGL 1.2 that Wizards of the Coast had to pay attention.
Right.
Wow.
When you give us playtest feedback, we take it seriously.
Yeah.
It was like the takeaway from that.
And you know what? I got to give them credit. I got to applaud them, man, because not many companies will do that. There's very few companies that will listen to the fan base like they do.
Yeah, and there is another point. It being done in concert with Creative Commons means there's no backtracking on this.
Yep.
It can only be further developed.
Yep. Yeah. I'm worried. My dog, man. I knew this was going to happen in the middle of recording. She's going to sleep the whole time, and the minute we're in the middle of recording, she's going to get up and start whining at me to go outside.
So anyway, a big win for the fans. It doesn't happen often. It is something to be happy about.
It's a huge win. Definitely, yeah. It was going to put a lot of businesses in a really bad spot. probably
Right.
closing down more than likely, because some of them, that's all they do. They're just doing that.
It would have been a great boon to Piazza.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they would have swooped right the hell in.
No doubt. So yeah, good D&D news. Let's see. Xbox also in the news. Yeah, Xbox being accused of, in national news, being accused of being woke because
by National Potato, Ted Cruz.
Yeah, that guy. So yeah, it's woke because they are forcing an update on the Xbox that makes it go into full off mode. Let me explain first of all, since I actually have an Xbox Series X. It has two modes. It has a mode that allows it to sit kind of in a sleep state, so it can be turned on remotely, basically. And you can do
a lot like Windows power saving.
Yeah. And so it sits there sipping about 10 watts. I think they actually tell you in the thing that it sips like 10 to 16 watts of power sitting there doing that. You can turn it off right then, which I did. I turned it off right then. So what they're doing is they're putting out a patch that forces it to turn off. So but I don't understand the outrage, because all you have to do is go in and turn it back on.
Right, so, yeah. That's the thing. There is no outrage. This is Republicans. Ted Cruz, there's another Republican that harped in on it, basically saying, the woke baddies are coming for your Xbox now.
Yeah.
And it's their attempt to stay in the limelight, to attract younger voters, I guess.
It's weak. It's very weak sauce. Very weak sauce.
This is no different. What they're trying to do, actually, I like the idea of. They are trying to, work with the power grid. Everybody wants to talk about carbon emissions and everything, and that's a big part. But, we can't just all go through burning up everything in our path and expect everything to be okay, right?
All right.
So this is another avenue where power consumption is a big deal. And there have been repeated stories about like how does that spike when everybody gets off of work, right?
Yeah, right. Everybody gets on their gaming machine.
The power grid.
Yeah. It's actually that it ties into something that's not on our bullet points, but I was going to bring it up. It's on mine. And that's why I turned it off, because our power is through the roof right now. The power bills are ridiculous. So I'm a miser. I'm thankful for something like this. Like I'm the type of guy that's walking around the house, pulling all the little bricks out of the walls that are supposed to be charging stuff that aren't charging anything, because they're all sipping power sitting there, whether you know it or not.
Right.
Believe me now, hear me later, or whatever it is. They sip power. So pull them out of the wall when you're done with them, unless you just have all the money of Elon Musk, which I doubt you do. Or you'd be Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, interestingly, ties into this, kind of on a tangent, but just because of solar panels, right? Mm-hmm. That was a big thing. A lot of our power co-ops or whatever you have had restrictions against anybody having solar power on their house, especially here where we live.
Yeah, ask Bill Maher about getting solar power out there in California to his house. That took like 1,400 days or something like that.
Right. Well, I mean, it's different now, but it's like your power company, your gas company, all of these utilities and everything. It's almost like they're running man. They've got too much control, and they're steadily shafting us over more and more every day.
Well, unless Alabama's making money off of solar power, unless Alabama Power, which I guess we just gave away where we live, unless they're finding a way to manufacture these solar panels and get all the money out of it, they don't want it.
Right.
And
they had
it's competition.
They had the power to tell people that regulated the industry and everything that it didn't happen.
Right. So I mean, it's man, I don't want to open up that rabbit hole. I guess yeah, at the X get into some deep shit there. What's
well, we can move on to our next bullet.
Yeah, what you got next?
Harry Potter Legacy.
Oh yeah, man, I am all about this game. I am pre-bought in already. It's my birthday present from my lovely wife, and I am so looking forward to this game, bro. I'm a very big Harry Potter fan. In fact, you asked me about what my favorite books earlier today before we recorded, and I'm not a reader. Never have been a reader, and that goes back to my ADHD. Bro, I can't tell you how many times I've read a sentence in my life over and 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 over, because I'm sitting there reading that sentence, but thinking about every other thing in the world that's possibly going on. That like I'm daydreaming about it. Whatever, it could be whatever. But it wasn't until those books came out that I was able to sit down and, bro, I mean, I was reading fast as hell. I was just churning them out, and because of those books. I had bought books over the years that just sat in my room. They were just more like collector's items and stuff, like especially my little Doctor Who books, for all the stories and whatnot. So that had me on a roll where I went and found every book that I had in my room that I've never read and read them all within that year very quickly, which blew my mind that I could even read that fast. But that fad didn't last that long again because of the ADHD. I moved on. And I haven't really read since. I've got a book that my wife bought. It's a book. Basically, I'd just call it a book of useless information, which I love because I'm full of useless information. But yeah, I mean, I've started reading that, but I hadn't gotten very far in it, and it's hard for me to find time to just grab it and pick up a few pages.
I never read the Harry Potter series.
Really?
I was introduced to it with the movie. I also came to Doctor Who late.
Yeah.
Not until the reboot. I had heard of it. And I knew what it was.
Well, obviously through me, you were hearing all about it because I never shut up about it back in the day.
Eggleston was my first experience with the Doctor. But I have gone back and watched some older ones. It's kind of hard for me to go back and watch old stuff. This is something that I have to deal with, like another tangent here. I've been playing The Evil Within 2 recently, and I've enjoyed the shit out of that game. And I kind of want to play 1 now, but the graphics, I'm not sure I would be happy with it, right?
Yeah, no, I know that feeling a lot. That's why I didn't go to Fallout 1 or 2 when I started the Fallout series.
So, I don't know. Like, there were... I watched a lot of the first Doctor. Maybe like more than a season. Yeah. And it was okay for what it was, and I have some experience with that black and white type format and everything else.
I live for that stuff. I love it.
But there was a lot of stuff in between that I could suffer through, and then I was like, I'm done suffering.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, I mean, like... we were still talking about Harry Potter and the Legacy game. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I mean, like, it looks... And a lot of people are starting to get to play it now and are kind of confirming what we've all thought. I mean, for one, it looks phenomenal. It looks beautiful. It's an open world game. So you've got Hogwarts Castle, you've got Hogsmeade Village. I think there might be some way into Diagon Alley on there. I could be wrong about that. Cool. But the castle is just enormous with, hidden places everywhere. You can go everywhere you want. You can walk, all around the woods around the castle. I don't know what the limits are. I can't wait to see how big the actual world is. But I think just being in the castle in and of itself, exploring that is going to create a lot of fun.
Well, here's my question. Your spell stuff. Are there, like, is it basically like you use all your spells for either, like, puzzles or damaging something?
Well, I mean, just what I've seen, there's combat. So, I mean, like, you got spells for combat mostly. It looks like you got spells like you're flicking things to open a door, to like open a secret passage or something like that.
Right.
It's hard to explain really without seeing it, but I mean, like it looked mainly, the spells to me were mainly for attack and defense and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm sure there's other stuff, to do, probably like casting some kind of invisibility or something like that.
Right. Of course, you're going to see a hippogriff somewhere.
Yeah, now you get a hippogriff. You can get a
Right.
hippogriff in the game. Now, I ordered the digital deluxe edition, so that gives me the game 3 days early. It comes out on the 10th officially, so everybody that does the digital deluxe edition gets it on the 7th. You also get a black hippogriff. And you get, it's like a dark arts pack. And an onyx, the thing that pulled the carriages.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, man, I am drawing such a blank right now. Yeah, the Thestral. Yeah, it's a Thestral. I think you get some kind of Thestral too. So, and then the PS5 version has 2 more exclusives, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
And those
you
exclusives will be available like a year from then on Xbox and PC.
Do you mix potions? Do you attend classes? Or is it just more open world traditional?
Yeah, that's the question to be answered. I don't think there's. I imagine at least in cutscenes there might be a few classes. I know I've seen classrooms and classes going on. I don't know if you can get into anything. You can interact with all kinds of different NPCs throughout. I haven't watched a ton of the gameplay just not to be spoiled by too much.
I try to avoid it. I've avoided almost all media on God of War Ragnarok that I could.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Just because I enjoyed the previous one so much, I know I'm going to play the next one. I want it to be the same experience I had.
Well, so they tried to do a little boycott on it. I mean that little minority that thinks they run the world. They tried to boycott it, and of course the sales are through the roof already, pre-sales.
Right.
So and by say boycott, it obviously over J.K. Rowling. Everybody thinks
Right.
that she's whatever, but
For anyone who's not in the know, she's accused of being anti-trans, or there's a specific name for it, right?
yeah, I don't know, but from a woman who put a gay character in her book, Dumbledore's gay, for those who don't know, and I don't know, you can easily label somebody whatever. I don't even know what the original thing she did or whatever she said.
I don't either.
I don't even
just know
care.
She's not popular.
Yeah.
With them.
I know everybody's entitled to their opinion, and maybe she has her reasons. I don't know, and maybe she's not even like that. I don't know, because
Right.
I do follow her on Twitter, which will lead me into the other thing that's on the bullet point there. I love Twitter right now, only because I get to express my stupid ass opinion in my most humorous way possible, which I love to do. And I couldn't really get that outlet on Facebook. I could do the exact same thing, but I have 0 friends on my Twitter account. 0. Which means I don't have to pretend for anybody, not say, a certain thing for this person that might get offended. I'm always considering that, which I wish some of my other friends would be more considerate of that. But, yeah, I know not everybody wants to hear my shit opinion, especially if they're on the opposite end of the political spectrum, which I'm trying to be in the middle. I think both
Right.
parties suck. Let's get that out in the open right now. So
I think all politicians. I don't think
yeah.
it's 2 parties. I think all politicians.
well,
suck.
yeah, I mean it sucks, but you probably hear me rail on the liberals more right now because it's just the umbrella that they fall under. Unfortunately, you could put them under the Republican umbrella, and I'd be just as irritated and start saying, "Well, the right did this, the right did that." Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. I was. What was I talking about? Because it's not on the bullet point, but I was. You don't know, but I do.
Right. Yeah.
Fuck, what the hell was I talking about? Hold on, I'll just look. It's not like it's that
Well,
big a
it's your
deal.
love of Twitter. It's about how you can talk without a filter, and it's about
Yes. Yeah, thank you for bringing that back to
you
me.
being anti-woke, whatever.
Well, yeah, I'm very anti-woke. And so, yeah, that's probably why people probably think I'm right-wing as hell, because let me say this. I have a saying. I am pro-choice. And don't think that means I'm pro-choice just for babies or whatever. That means pro-choice of making choices. Being able to choose is your right to make any decision you want to make. And the choices you make in life, bad or good, is what makes you who you are. And the better choices you make, obviously, the better life you'll lead. You know, when I chose to do drugs back in the day, I was choosing to take a path that would lead me probably to jail or something like that. Right? So you make your way in life through your choices. So I don't understand why certain people feel it's necessary to force their feelings or identities on us, when I'm more than happy to let them be that way and do their thing, all they want to do. But the minute you tell me I have to tell you, acknowledge you, embrace you or love you or accept you or whatever you want me to do, I'm sorry, I'm going to push back on that. And for any one group to fight for universal acceptance is misguided at best, because nobody is ever going to get universal acceptance.
Right.
Ever. So quit trying. Quit trying to force everybody.
I have a real problem because of the with the anti-woke thing, just because of how it's presented. You know, it's kind of platform, and I hate the term itself.
I do too.
Because
it's been robbed anyway.
One of those. That's what I was going to say. It's been stolen from another vernacular, and it doesn't mean what it meant. No, right?
It doesn't. It's a term that black people used.
Right.
You know, it was just when they were surprised that somebody was enlightened, they said, "Wow, man, that person's woke." Yeah. But they enlightened. That doesn't mean that they fucking just all of a sudden. Man, I don't know.
And so, like, every time I hear woke, it's like, I just hate it because of that. But again, you're free to do whatever you're free to talk however you want to talk, right?
Right. Well, it's just like Xbox putting that update on our thing. They're not taking anything away. They're not being woke. We still have the choice to turn it off. So that instantly makes it not woke. Right there. Choice. And you can be woke, you can be enlightened. That's fine. Just keep it to yourself. Nobody fucking cares about you. Except your family and your close friends. Other than that,
if you're lucky.
Yes. Other than that, nobody gives a fuck about you. Right. And it's a shame, I'll say this much, it's a shame that we aren't a little more respectful to each other. If you look back at the days, if some of you young ones would go back and look at history, you'll see that gentlemen used to wear nice suits, wore a hat everywhere they went. They tipped their hats to the ladies. They would tip their hats to other men, just passing them on the streets. They would take their hat off when they walked in the door and hang it on the hat rack. They would take their coat off, hang it on the coat rack. When they flew, they dressed up like they were going to church. And it was just about a respect thing, a dignity thing. That's all gone. There's very little human respect left in this world.
Well,
and that's, I guess these people think that demanding some respect for their own agenda, makes things better, but it ain't. It's just causing half the country to rebel against you. More than half, probably.
I think it's a universal thing. I don't think it's just the woke crowd or whoever. But as a general rule, now that everything is so digitized, now that everything is so instant, now that everything is so personalized, we can, live in this little fantasy life of what we want, how happy we are, and everything and whatnot. And you don't really have to deal with reality, right?
Well, there's people that believe that, Brian. That, like, I've heard kids, real kids, ask when the world went into color. The world They think the whole world was black and white, Brian.
Well, you didn't see that episode where it happened, where the world went to color?
There are people. See, that's one thing the internet has exposed. It has brought us all together in many ways. There have been many joyous things come out of the internet. There have also been many bad things coming out of the internet. One of the many things that has enlightened us all to is that there are way, way more ignorant people out there. That's being nice. There is a whole lot of people out there without common sense.
Yeah.
It's a very rare commodity nowadays. And it's sad because common sense to me is just like the foundations, the fundamentals of life. For some that don't have just what you call common sense, you are okay with me if you have street smarts, because it will suffice. It's not as good as common sense, but it is very damn good, and I will accept it.
It'll keep you alive.
It will keep you alive, and like I said, it's almost just as good. In some cases, you might come out smarter than somebody with common sense because you've had to survive harder.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a shame.
It's also, they're navigating a different landscape. The world's totally different. So, I mean, again, how well can you code? What? I don't know what's important these days, but I know that's one of them, right?
Yeah.
It's not the same world anymore, and at some point you have to accept that. Once you get old.
Do I?
You do.
I don't know. I guess I do. Do I? I don't know.
It could be after
I'm
you
not.
die,
I'm not convinced I have to accept it. I'm really not sure of that yet. Maybe I do. Maybe that's a topic for another discussion.
Okay.
That might be.
We should be getting on in our bullet points anyway.
Yeah, because it's already getting late. Thank God my wife told me that she's going to be working a little later. So
we got a little backed up, but we got 2 more topics and maybe room for a little more if we can. First off, for Spoken.
Yeah.
New game coming out. Looks amazing to an extent.
Looks
I have my own issues with the game.
Yeah, looks fantastic, but from what I could tell, the research that I did, and I just looked at it today, the writing for a AAA game is absolutely piss poor.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and I've heard the gameplay leaves a lot to be desired too. The game does look incredible though, but I think overall I'd have to say pass.
Also, everything I've seen from the game, it always felt a little empty. I don't know how to define it. Too much blank space.
Yes, going through one of the towns or something like that, village or whatever, it was just the most basic. There was no garbage cans on the side. It was just like walking through an empty street with buildings that were flat, like flat textured buildings. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it could have used a lot more detail, especially as beautiful as it did look. What's that?
I said the parkour system.
Yeah,
could be
that was cool.
Game changing.
Yes,
it could be a big push in a certain direction of games to go with movement.
I agree, and apparently it was one of the smoothest parts of the gameplay in that game. It was like the best part of the gameplay in that game.
Now, that being said, they have had issues.
Of course. Yeah.
There was an issue that a streamer had where they were doing sponsored content for it. They downloaded the game. The game told them that they could play. But I don't know. If they're a content creator that plays games doing sponsored content, you and I know as gamers.
Did he break the embargo or something?
No. Whenever you download a game, a lot of times these days, the game will download and it'll say, "Hey, you can come in and play," and it'll continue to download shit.
You're right. Yeah. Right.
And that's exactly what happened. They got to a point in the game where it's like, okay, well, now you got to wait for these next 30 or 40 gigabytes of data to download or something, and it just ruined the whole stream.
Damn.
But that could have been a communication issue between whoever was hiring them to do the sponsored content. I don't know, but it was kind of a weird thing. But also, they got a lot of negative press overall.
Yeah.
And then, right on the back of that, comes in Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush, for those
Yeah.
of you who don't know, it's guys that did the Evil Within series.
Right. Yeah. Like an
Teamed up with Edgar
about
Wright.
face on that one.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think you can get much further away from that.
Yeah.
As
they did.
Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim, Hot Fuzz, like all the Simon Pegg, Nick Frost stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He did those. He did Baby Driver. Really, really an interesting filmmaker, in my opinion. I'll put him up there with maybe not Scorsese, but definitely Lynch.
Yeah. So yeah, the game. I mean, it's like rhythm-based game. Like
it is a rhythm-based,
like
game.
a Guitar
I have
Hero
mixed
type
feelings
deal.
on that personally.
Yeah. As a drummer, I could see the appeal, but I don't like it in my games. Unless it's Guitar Hero.
I enjoyed Parappa the Rapper back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a lot of fun. There were some frustrating parts. And I'm not necessarily against rhythm games, but I prefer... With a rhythm game, it makes more sense for it to be shorter, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I liked Beat Saber, okay.
Right.
I mean, that was okay.
But this kind of feels like they're trying to straddle something with a... not just being a rhythm game.
Yeah.
There's a big story behind it. There's a lot of pop to the art.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So it's very, very stylistic. Edgar Wright, it's going to have some of those Scott Pilgrim type moments in it, I'm sure.
You know what's weird for me is just the anime look, man. I don't know what it is about anime that I just don't care for. I never have, and I know you love anime, and I liked Akira back in the day, but
who didn't?
Who didn't? And I don't know, like trying to watch like Dragon Ball with my wife over the years, or Inuyasha or something like that. It just seems like the same shit to me over and over again, and there's not a coherent story that I can follow. I think Dragon Ball I could kind of maybe a little bit, but it's all just seems like every episode, just culminates in there might be like 5 minutes of a dialogue that furthers the story, and then the rest of the cartoon is Tetsuo Kaneda! It's just fucking all this shit, and then they're fighting, shooting the powers out of each.
Well, also the all of the manga based anime, and anime in and of itself in its history has a lot of repetitive frames involved, right? Or overlays. There's a lot of repetition in the art, in my opinion, and sometimes it works, but overall, I think for someone with ADHD,
that is exactly. I couldn't get the words out fast enough, bro. It has killed me with that, because now maybe if you could sit down with it all at one time, because the way I've seen them, it's just like here, there, so I can't keep up. But maybe if I could watch it 2 or 3 hours at a time, which would be a feat too, I might could follow along. But
well, I'm also a big fan of a lot of anime that doesn't necessarily fit into what we were just talking about, like Ghost in the Shell was real good. The series, the standalone Complex 2, a lot of that, it was just really good artwork. It
would have been, and probably is probably the only anime. There was something recent I was watching I did like. I forget the name of it though. It was on the redo of the new Toonami about 3 years ago or something. I wish I could remember the name of it. And I just really liked the art. Kind of reminded me of the Aeon Flux art. Just real detailed for an animation, because animations really don't get details. That's why I liked the old Spawn cartoon had a lot of detail in it. And Thundercats was one of the most detailed. That was anime without anime, and that's probably as much as that was anime. Thundercats.
I would say that the creators of Thundercats attended the Hugh Hefner's. No, it wasn't Hugh Hefner. It was Was it Larry Bird?
Yeah, Larry Flint, not Larry Bird. He was a basketball player.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Larry Flint.
Was he the one that was like always tell a story, always leave something in the background to tell more to the story or whatever? Or was that Hefner?
I don't remember.
Anyway, one of those porno guys. Every one of their shots, they always had to have something else besides the setting and the person. There had to be a story somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And it kind of flows along with that.
I think it might be Hefner. Now I think about it, sounds like something familiar. All right, we're getting close to the wire. What else we got on there?
Star Wars, baby.
Star Wars. Gosh, man, I hate to go fast on this stuff.
I know, right? We'll probably talk about it more because we are fanboys.
Yes, we definitely are. So, I know Brian wanted to talk about Andor real quick, which is, we're way after the fact now as this comes out in very late January, 2023. For those that are keeping track.
All year.
Yeah, Andor's been off for a hot minute, but it is where we had Kenobi before that, which, man, left a lot to be desired in some areas and was great in others.
Right, I agree.
But after Mandalorian, we were all like, I don't know. But it was still good enough to pass for sure. And then Andor came along. Yeah, wow, man, just the best storytelling of Star Wars that just got to open up the universe, in my opinion, and show you what it's like to live on the Outer Rim. I didn't get much of that, in my opinion. I know it was there, but I kind of expected more from that. I've always talked about this, how great it would be to deal with stuff in the Outer Rim that isn't involved with all this stuff with the Senate and everybody else. Well, I mean, you got all that, and I loved how you get to see the ISB. They're all, their office workings, and then how that dude from the other police force, the corporate police force. When he got reassigned and was up there, you get to see, how their little cubicles and stuff, and they're all just toiling away, bored as hell, right. I'm sure. It's just neat to see little things like you're corporate just American seeing Star nightmare. Wars live. You're just seeing how people live.
I thought he did a lot to fill it out. I will say, as far as everything else, I was happy with Mando. I even liked Boba Fett.
I did too.
And a lot of it was great, but there are always things like, maybe I felt like in Kenobi there were parts of the direction that it got. It seemed like the director and the actor maybe weren't. Was just accepting what the director said, but didn't feel it. Maybe, I don't know. I always had that feeling like that.
Well, it's like simple things like the California desert looking like the California desert.
Right. That's another thing I was going to go on. Set design, costumes, everything in Andor on that level was, what I expect of Star Wars.
Right.
Whereas everything else, it may have varied here and there.
Right. Yeah, Kenobi had a varying degree. It was variable bit rate, whereas Andor was constant bit rate.
Right.
I know you get that analogy. I hope you other people do too. But this is a good way to say that, and I'll just touch on these others. So, because we're going to leave this as a tease, since we are fanboys, we'll be talking plenty more Star Wars, so we can flesh those out in the future. So, we got Mando Season 3 coming out. Then after that, we have Ahsoka. Then we have... Skeleton Crew, yeah. Then I think the Acolytes come after that, or the Acolyte comes after that, which is a Kathleen Kennedy only thing apparently, and so is Skeleton Crew. So there's this one guy, Mike Zero, on YouTube that absolutely takes a shit on everything Kathleen Kennedy does, and has a huge hard on for getting her fired apparently, because that's all this dude. He puts out like 3 or 4 videos a day. Yeah. I really, and actually, I've seen other videos of people talking about him and how his stuff usually comes out to be bullshit. So I've kind of stopped watching that dude, just more or less because he's annoying me with how much of a hard on he has for Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, she seems to suck. Okay, we get it. This dude's obsessed, man. I mean, totally obsessed. But anyway, so those are questionable as how good they might be. There is what that she wants to do is apparently whitewash George Lucas's ideas out of Star Wars, and so these will be those versions of that, and so it remains to be seen on whether or not they'll be decent.
Right.
So we'll hit on all that other good stuff as it comes down the pipe, especially Mando Season 3 as it gets closer. It's not far away. March.
We left one out, Star Wars Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah, which I know shit about. Or maybe actually, no, that was Skeleton Crew. So yeah, we'll see when it gets closer. In fact, that's on the list only because it was on the list I found because I hadn't even heard of it yet. I don't think.
Right. Same. But yeah, a lot to look forward to there, especially I don't know. I kind of have this feeling that Ahsoka can go either way. It can be really good, or it can just be kind of.
I tend to think it's going to be good.
I hope it will.
I'm very optimistic.
I hope it's everything I want it to be.
But I also thought Solo was cool as shit. Anyway, I don't understand why everybody took shit on Solo. I really don't.
Yeah, I liked Solo too. I thought it was good.
Well, I mean, I just don't get what the fuck people want. I mean, what do you want out of it? You know what pissed me off about Solo more than anything else? That it deserves a fucking sequel. That they set it up for the most beautiful sequel. And I left wanting so much, and we're never going to see that shit. And that's sad, dude. Yeah. Because that could have been Darth Maul and that whole fucking that chick leading that whole deal, and where does that go from there? You know, maybe we'll get a cartoon back, but I've already said, now that we have live action, I don't want to see another cartoon Star Wars show ever. I want all live action. That was George being cheap back in the day.
I had a real problem with the Clone Wars. Art direction and animation.
Yeah, I had a lot of problems with it too. I'm happy with a lot of stories that came out of it, but maybe we can talk about that another day too. We can do a deep dive into the Clone Wars or something. I do have all that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, any last minute little quick things? Because I got to roll.
A couple of things we didn't hit on. Willow. That's fine. We don't necessarily have to talk about it. I thought it was great. It's good to see Warwick Davis working.
Yeah, no doubt. He's actually gotten a lot of little work doing bit parts for some British.
Well, I was going to say, when we were watching, what was that, Episode 1?
Yeah.
Random cameo. I had to
yeah, sure. Yeah, he's
Warwick?
getting them all. Yeah, he gets a lot of those. Plus, of course, Harry Potter's kept him plenty busy. But he did a thing with Val Kilmer, and it was a British thing. I think it was Ricky Gervais. But I could be wrong.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So this kind of gives you guys an idea of what Obviously, things are going to change. We're going to tighten up and get a little better.
Yeah.
We're winging it. ADHD's got the best of us. Yeah, first episode. We're just happy that I said we got to do something before February 1st. We've accomplished that much. We're getting something down. So, yeehaw! And
we're going to continue to do this. We may branch out the broadcast some. We will be developing a little bit. So we're going to tighten down.
Yeah, we'll do live broadcasts. Yep.
And just put some spit and polish on everything and keep doing it every week, right?
Yes, absolutely, guys. So stick with us. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button so you know when we're doing things. And we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks so much, guys.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right, take it easy, y'all.